Hi everyone, today I want to speak about the international protection system and information that has come into the public domain over the last number of days, and this is important. This is about a document that was released to a newspaper in Ireland about the discussions around international protection accommodations centres around the country, and that they should not go into certain locations. Now those locations were around Kerry, Clare, Mayo and Donegal and the North inner city Dublin. Now, this was because of, according to the document, local and political feedback. Now, because of so many protests we've seen, and also because we've seen that a lot of the Ukrainian refugee accommodation has gone back into use as hotels, but there's still over 112,000 Ukrainian refugees that have come to Ireland. Now, this is an interesting part of this document that was released. And of course, what's really important is we've seen dramatic amounts of protests all around the country because of what's gone on with the immigration chaos. Last year, net migration in Ireland was 142,000, a huge increase in population. And of course, who benefits? The very wealthy in society at the expense of more and more people who are being forced out of the country because they can't afford to live in Ireland. Now, what's really important with this report in terms of the amount of people that have come into Ireland, in the last 4 years there's been 400% increase in people in international protection. Now, this is a dramatic shift in Irish society where we've seen more and more people being forced into these detention centres essentially, but again profiting massively for companies who are making much money out of it, and many of these corporations aren't even registered in Ireland. So again, a big tax dodge for a lot of these big owners of these centres all around the country. And as I said, there's been a dramatic increase over the last 4 years. There's still expected to be 15,000 that are coming into the system this year. Now again, it's all about immigration and cheap labour, and again, pushing the bigger globalist agenda. Now there are over 5,000 people that are in this accommodation that aren't actually supposed to be in the accommodation because for reasons that their claims have been rejected, and a number of other reasons. And then as well as that, there's still 3,000 people without accommodation. And we know the pressures that extra amount of people coming in has put on the basic public service, such as accommodation costs, which puts accommodation costs up, keeps the profits high for the big landlords, and also puts pressure on so many other services. But it's also a big agenda by the globalists to push this agenda over the past number of years. And of course, it was Peter Sutherland himself who was a key globalist and a big father of globalisation, who, when he was UN Special Rapporteur for Migration, was pushing the immigration across the European Union because he stated that it was all about economic prosperity and economic growth. And this was the push that they were looking for because of obviously flooding countries with cheaper labour, to do away with the whole idea of the nation state and the whole idea of sovereignty. Like Micheál Martin said, sovereignty was a backward looking idea. And really this has been the push and race to the bottom essentially. And what's important with this is that Sutherland said, well, the future lies in multiculturalism. And this was the agenda because it's easier to control a population when so many people, for instance, haven't got an allegiance or identity in terms of loyalty to their place, to their sense of community, sense of country as well, which is vitally important. And that has been eroded on a wide-scale basis across Irish society. We see it happening in dramatic shifts in the social fabric of the country. And also what's very important about this is that because of the decline in birth rate in Ireland and across Europe, and this would benefit the tax that comes in through the system to keep the pension pots going for the very wealthy in society. So it's just absolutely just ludicrous. But of course, Sutherland himself was a former Attorney General and a former head of BP and Goldman Sachs. So what would you expect? It's not about humanitarian reasons. It's not about anything like that. It's really about really pushing the globalist agenda, and which is the same what's happening today. But people are pushing back against what's going on. But unfortunately, we've seen a dramatic shift in areas really changing, complete dynamic because of lack of integration. And then we've seen the resultant chaos from crime. We saw that, for instance, in around Dublin City, in Smithfield recently. We saw the attacks in that region, which were absolutely disgraceful. We saw the murder on South Street And we've seen a myriad of cases of sexual assault and rape as well. Most recently, there was a person that was only in the country for a number of days who committed a heinous and vile act of rape, who was banned from the United Kingdom. And what's interesting there is that he tried to abscond and go to the UK, but obviously couldn't get there because he was banned. But in Ireland, it's just open season for this absolute lunacy to continue. And despite what the politicians are trying to do, they've created the chaos and are now trying to claim some credit in solving it. They have no interest in solving it. Their job is to keep profits high for the very rich in society. And by having lower accommodation costs, in terms of next to no accommodation costs, then that's a subsidy for big employers as well. And I've spoken about that in a number of videos, such as a work permit video, and I'll add a link to that in the comments below. So please press subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please share my videos far and wide. Thanks for the support, and from Dublin, Slán.